So now we're going to be dealing with request method of post. What exactly is post? Post method is mainly used at the client side to send data to a specified server in order to create or rewrite a particular resource. In our case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending a book as a request, and then we are going to be processing that on the server, which is our main_2 file. And then we are going to be responding back to the client with the response of the book. So let's dive in and create that method here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do app.post. I'm going to do here, I'm going to create my path. And as always, I'm going to create my async function, create book, since I'm creating a book, or I want to create a book. And in here, I'm going to pass a book parameter, which is going to be of type class book, which we just defined earlier. So this is of type class book, right? This is the first time we're looking at this kind of stuff. Earlier, we used to supply, oh, it's going to be of type string, it's going to be type integer, but here it's going to be a type book. So this actually specifies that that this is going to be a request body. And then in the function, we're going to have pretty simple books dot append, because books is a list, and how do we add an element to a list? We append it. Okay, books dot append book, and then in the end we're just going to return that book that we just appended. Let's save this and let's go back to our browser, refresh it, and as you can see, we have this new post method here, create book, that I just created here. Okay, so go back here, and as you can see, if I expand this, I can see that that's a request body now, which is required. Why is that a request body? It's because of this this book class that is specified here in the function parameter, right? Function parameter was of type book. And what is class book? Class book is actually a model that inherits from the base model, and base model comes from Pydantic. So let's go back there, and here, as you can see in the post create book method that we just created, there is an example here that they have shown us that, hey, your request body should look like this. The title should be of type string, ID should be of type UUID, author should be of type string, description should be of type string, rating should be of type integer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on try it out, and here you can actually make changes here. So I'm going to keep the ID as is, and I'm going to make the title as, let's say, FastAPI complete course. That's the name of our book, let's say. So author is Algomatica, and description is best API course in the world. Now let's say on the internet, which it is. And rating is 100, and let's execute that. And as you can see, we have this curl request here, and we have the code 200. That means it's successful. And this is a response body that we just got back. Why did we get it back? Because we're returning that, right? So we're returning that book information, and there you have it. As you can see, FastAPI complete course, Algomatica, best API course on the internet, successful response. So everything looks good here. Now let's go back to read all books, because that book now should be there, right? So I'm going to click try it out, execute, and there you have it. We have that book that we just created, right? We had that empty list, and now inside that empty list, we have this information here that I just created, right? That's awesome. So I'm going to close this back again, and let's come here and let's make some changes here, okay? So let's make this, let's remove this guy here, this description, okay? And now let's execute this again. And after executing that, as you can see, we have some error here, unprocessable entity. Why is that? It's actually telling us that, hey, in your description field, there is nothing there. The field is required when value error is missing. So that means we don't have any value there because we just removed it. And why are we getting this error here? How did FastAPI know that we need that field? That's because of this guy here. As you can see, this was a child of the base model class, right? And the base model comes from Pydantic. So because of that data validation, we know that this is a required field. But if you don't supply that in your request body, it's going to throw you an error. So that's an awesome thing that Pydantic gave us, and it's pretty helpful. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put it back here because that's required, right? And let's make this guy. Let's make this guy something here. Let's make this guy 44.21. Okay, and let's execute that. By the way, it should accept a string, right? But I'm supplying here a float. So let's see what happens here if I do that. Perfect. So what's going on here is actually because of Pydantic, and as you know, author is of type string. It should be of type string, but I supplied a float there. So what it did actually, it actually kind of like coerced that float into a string. So that float became a string here. So any number became a string because it kind of enforced that data validation and data type onto that field. So that's pretty good. And yeah, this looks pretty good actually. I'm gonna just go back here and read this again just to see if it reflects those changes. And there you have it. Actually, you have a new book here, which is the one that I just did, and you have this old one here. So because what happens in a Python list is it keeps on appending, right? So that's what's happening. When I changed the value to this guy, it took that as a new thing and it created a new book, which is expected. So that's it for now as far as creating a post method is concerned using request bodies.